crash wreckage washing up along the Potomac River. We hear from the passerby who called it in to police.
Plus, Real Housewives of Potomac star Karen Huger out of jail, and fans are excited.
You know, she's free. She can go home, sleep in her own bed, have her own shower.
We'll tell you what's next for her.
There's no shortage of American flags, but trying to get your hands on a DC state flag these days, well, that's a different story.
After several comfortable days in a row, it is expected to warm up a bit on Wednesday. We'll let you know just how warm it could get before the end of the week.
And from athlete to tech founder, a DC native winning thousands at a pitch competition, all to grow his chip-making company. We'll tell you about it in today's Tech Talk.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us for DC News Now at 5. I'm Annalisa Gale. Mark Hall will join us in the 6 p.m. hour. Well, President Donald Trump says he plans to send federal law enforcement into Chicago and Baltimore, despite opposition from local leaders. He told them saying, quote, "We're going in," end quote, but did not specify when. He says similar actions like here in the district could come in other cities, insisting it's to protect the country.
So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe.
Federal forces are expected to arrive in Chicago today. Officers will remain there through September 30th, according to an internal email obtained by multiple outlets. And this all comes as Congress returned to the district after August's recess. For the first time seeing the scope of the federal law enforcement takeover in person now. The National Guard says more than 2,200 guardsmen are operating on patrols and task forces in the district. They're patrolling federally owned spaces and they are cleaning up trash. And we're learning they are training with the DC De-Escalation Tactics Unit as well. President Trump saying today the district is now considered again a safe zone.
Took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor has been very helpful, and the police commission has been very helpful, and it's been a great team.
Congressional Republicans are proposing legislation, meantime, that would keep the guard around D.C. for an additional 5 months. And this comes after a coalition of more than 150 organizations demanded an end to what they call President Trump's authoritarian takeover of the district. The Not Above the Law Coalition Group, as they're called, holding a news conference joined by Representative Jamie Raskin and other national civil rights leaders. Now, the group is calling on Congress to pass a joint resolution aimed at blocking Trump's use of emergency powers in the district, warning it could set the stage for similar actions nationwide.
It is just a massive incursion into self-government in DC, and it's not helping people in DC. But this is a bunch of performative political actions that are designed for completely PR purposes.
Releasing a letter signed by more than 100 organizations urging swift passage of that resolution. Leaders say the stakes are high and stress the importance of defending democracy and preventing further federal overreach. And a federal judge ruling today that President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth broke the law by using U.S. military forces for law enforcement in Los Angeles. Thousands of California National Guard troops and Marines were deployed during an immigration crackdown, which the judge says violated a 19th century law banning the use of troops for domestic policing. The ruling comes as Trump considers sending the National Guard to other cities, as we first mentioned at the top of the hour. Attorney General Pam Bondi also releasing new numbers today over the administration's takeover of D.C. Bondi claiming agents made more than 200 arrests over the Labor Day weekend. That includes 70 arrests made last night. The total now more than 1,500 arrests since the takeover began and 168 illegal guns seized. All right, turning over to our forecast now with meteorologist Damon Matson. And yeah, Damon, those temperatures are looking slightly lower than they have been in recent weeks.
Yeah, we've definitely been on this cooler trend, and it hasn't really broken any time in the near future or recent past for that matter. So yeah, today was kind of a rinse and repeat cycle of exactly what we've had back into the final days of August. It was cool to start out the morning, not too chilly, but cold enough around the district in the Chesapeake Bay there in the lower 60s. Other spots, though, Manassas included, dropping down into the upper 40s, mainly, though, the 50s as you went west of D.C. to start out the day today. But plentiful amounts of sunshine mixed with plenty of clouds as well. We've bounced back into the upper 70s and lower 80s. Very similar to what we had on Labor Day and, for that matter, the entire holiday weekend. So we will continue to enjoy these very quiet, comfortable but cool conditions for the rest of the evening time. Of course, things will cool down as some of that cloud cover continues to break up into the overnight hours. But starting tomorrow, we are done with this very consistent pattern as a few minor changes will start to unfold. We'll let you know what those will be on your Wednesday and when there could be a little bit of rainfall finally back into the mix. That's coming up in a full check of your forecast here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. Sounds good. New tonight, more wreckage has possibly been discovered after January's deadly mid-air collision. A passerby spotting the plane parts walking along the Potomac River's edge in Alexandria over the weekend and reporting that to authorities. DC News Now's Randy Bass is there now with more on what they found. Good evening, Randy. What are you learning?
Yes, it's now been more than 7 months since that deadly mid-air collision just a few miles away at Reagan National Airport. And we're learning today that some of that possible wreckage may have washed up here along the Mount Vernon Trail and the Potomac River here in Alexandria. We caught up with the passerby who saw it along the shore.
Surreal. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Andrew Guevara was walking his dog along the Mount Vernon Trail when he spotted something floating along the edge of the Potomac River Sunday evening.
There was a tray table latch, what looked like a tray table latch. There was a leather pouch. It was a blue pouch at the bottom. Knowing what happened back in January, you just kind of put two and two together, like I said. I stopped some passerbys, and they're also like, yeah, that kind of looks like an airplane seat.
That's when Guevara called authorities, and Alexandria police officers jumped down to the river's edge and retrieved what looks like part of an airplane seat just about 2 miles away from where the deadly mid-air collision happened near DCA back in January.
Especially given how serious the situation was from when it happened, and even though it's 7 months later, it's still part of a tragedy. It's still part of what happened, and so I think it's important that it gets to the right people.
DC police confirmed Tuesday they received the possible plane wreckage and are holding on to it before transferring possession over to the National Transportation Safety Board. Now, we are still awaiting confirmation from the NTSB that this piece of wreckage does belong to the DCA mid-air collision from back in January. Their investigation into that crash is ongoing. In Alexandria, I'm Randy Bass, DC News Now.
All right, Randy, thanks for the update. In Virginia now, a funeral was held for 32-year-old Alan Tucker II. Tucker died while in police custody earlier this month. Police have now released body camera video of the moments leading up to his death, but his family says they just want justice.
What's done in the dark will come to light, and it will. Justice will come.
The officers involved have now been placed on administrative duty. The investigation into Tucker's death remains ongoing. New tonight, a woman has been arrested for allegedly stealing more than a dozen Ninja slushy machines across Fairfax County, totaling over $10,000. Officers were conducting a traffic stop on Russell Road in Hibla Valley on August 24th, where the officers say they observed a rental van driving suspiciously there. It was driving during that time that the suspect there provided a false name, but then was identified as Christine Woodson. Police also learned that she had 16 active arrest warrants. She's now being held without bond. New video tonight after a man was rescued from inside a car today. That happened in the woods by 66 westbound near the exit of Route 110. Arlington County Fire and EMS say the man was taken to a nearby hospital for his injuries. The cause of that crash is still under investigation. And take a look at this kitty getting use of her 9 lives there. DC Fire and EMS had to get her out of a stinky situation when this cat named Zoe got stuck down a sewer. It happened on Rhode Island Avenue in Northwest Washington today. The good news, though, Zoe is now back with her owner and seems to be doing better. Well, developing now, Real Housewives of Potomac star Karen Huger was released from jail today after her DUI conviction. DC News Now's Kevon Dupree covers Montgomery County for us. He was at the Montgomery County Detention Center as she drove away with her team.
Karen Huger was released around 11 o'clock Tuesday. While she didn't speak, we got to see her moments after her release. These were the first few minutes of freedom for Real Housewives of Potomac star Karen Huger after serving 6 months into her 1-year sentence. Huger was sentenced in February by a jury for driving under the influence. In March 2024, she was involved in a crash near Oakland Drive in Potomac. Chantel Wright waited eagerly outside the Montgomery County Detention Center in hopes of getting a glimpse of Huger.
I also went to her sentencing in February. And so coming here was kind of like the culmination of what happened at the end of that.
Wright says it was a nice surprise to see the reality star.
For everyone out here to see her wave and to say hello. My vibe from her was relief. You know, she's free. She can go home, sleep in her own bed, have her own shower, you know. Hopefully go to Tally Ho and have some breakfast, her favorite breakfast spot.
Wright hopes that Huger learns from this experience.
Karen has a wide reach of people, followers, and I think that it would be awesome if she became like an advocate for like Mothers Against Drunk Driving or some kind of, you know, do some kind of community service in that aspect to kind of flip the story of what happened to her.
Huger will be on probation for 5 years, and she's not allowed to drive for the next year. In Potomac, I'm Kevon Dupree, DC News Now.
Yvonne, thank you. Well, a staple in Northwest D.C. is now closing its doors. The owner of Georgia Brown's confirming the restaurant closed on Sunday. Georgia Brown's Southern Comfort has served Southern Comfort in the district since 1993. Ayanna Brown says in a statement, quote, "We're most proud of the fact that we created an environment that was inclusive of everyone."